This sounds like one of those horror stories people make up for clicks. But what I saw at 2:41 a.m., I can never unsee. And what's worse is, I didn't even realize it until the night she crawled out. Let me start from the beginning. I just moved into this place, a small one-bedroom rental in a quiet town, about 30 minutes outside the city. It was cheap, old, and creaky, but it was mine. I'd gotten out of a messy breakup and needed space, somewhere quiet, alone. The attic door was right in the middle of the hallway ceiling, just a wooden hatch with one of those pull-down ladders. The landlord told me not to worry, said it was empty, hadn't been used in years. I didn't question it, I should have. Then the noises started. Soft creaks, a thump once in a while. I blamed it on rats, or the old wooden beams. But then I'd wake up and notice things. Off. The hallway light would be on, my bedroom door open. I always sleep with it shut. One night I woke up freezing. The thermostat read 63. I always keep it at 72. Still groggy, I shuffled into the hallway and stopped. The attic string, that little rope you pull to open the hatch, it was swaying back and forth like someone had just climbed up or down. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I bought a motion-activated camera. I set it up in the hallway, aimed straight at the attic hatch. And that night I left it rolling while I slept. The house stayed quiet, nothing out of place. I made coffee the next morning, opened the app, pulled up the footage. Timestamp, 2:41 a.m. The attic door slowly opened. It hung there, still, for almost a full minute. Then, a pale hand reached down, gripped the edge of the frame. A woman, thin, messy hair, eyes wide open, lowered herself down the ladder. She didn't look around. She didn't speak. She just stared. Down the hallway toward my bedroom door. And then the clip ended. No movement after that. No retreat back into the attic. Just the hatch, still open, like it was waiting. I couldn't breathe. I didn't call the cops. I didn't even move. I sat in the kitchen shaking. I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered across the tiles. And from the ceiling above me, I heard it, a soft shift, like knees pressing into wood. She was still up there. I ran, left everything, phone, wallet, keys, drove straight to my friend Matt's place. Didn't even knock, just begged to stay. The cops checked the house, searched every room. The attic was empty, no signs of a break-in, no bedding, no clothes. But the officer pointed to the corner of the attic and said, "See that patch there? The insulation's compressed. Someone's been lying here." They never found her. I moved out the next week, broke my lease, lost my deposit. I don't care. But even now, in my new apartment, sometimes I wake up, check the clock. 2:41 a.m. And I swear, I hear something move above me. She's still up there, waiting. I should never have opened the door. It was a cold Thursday evening in January. I live alone in a small apartment complex. One of those older buildings with thin walls, squeaky floors, and tenants who mostly keep to themselves. Nothing dramatic ever happens here. That's probably why I let my guard down. It was around 9:30 p.m. I was watching a movie when I heard a knock at my door. Not aggressive, not panicked, just polite. 3 soft knocks. I froze. Not because of the knock itself, but because I wasn't expecting anyone. I live on the second floor at the end of the hallway. You don't accidentally knock on my door. You have to choose to come here. I got up slowly and checked the people. A man stood there, early 30s, tan jacket, short wet hair. Looked like he'd been out in the rain. He wasn't doing anything threatening, just standing calmly with one hand in his pocket, the other holding a cracked smartphone. He knocked again, lightly, then said, "Sorry to bother you. I live in 2C. Lock myself out. My phone's dead. Can I use yours to call my wife? 2C is right next to mine, but I've never seen this guy before. I hesitated. He noticed because he quickly added, "You can keep the chain on. I just need to make one call. Please." Something in me wanted to say no, but he looked normal, drenched, cold, calm. And if he really was my neighbor, I'd feel like an asshole later. So I opened the door, just halfway, and handed him my phone. He smiled, nodded a thank you, and turned away to make the call. But here's the thing, he didn't dial. He held the phone to his ear, but the screen was still lit, unlocked. I watched him closely. He mumbled something like, "Yeah, I'm here." "Okay," and then turned back and handed it to me. "Thanks, she's on her way." He smiled again, but this time it was wider, slower, like he was trying too hard to look casual. I started closing the door, but before it fully shut, he spoke again. "You live alone, right?" I stopped. "What?" He tilted his head. "Just noticed. Never seen anyone else coming or going from here. Must be peaceful." I didn't answer. I shut the door and locked it. Every bolt. Then I just stood there, heart pounding. The peephole showed nothing. I waited 5 minutes. 10. Finally, I opened the door and looked down the hallway. Empty. The next day, I knocked on 2C. An older man answered, mid-60s. Definitely not the same guy. I asked if someone else lived there. He said no, it's just him and his wife. Has been for 14 years. I asked if anyone had ever come by last night saying they were from his apartment. He looked confused, then said, "You should talk to building security. We've had weird people trying doors lately." I did. The front desk guy pulled up footage from the hallway camera. It showed me opening the door, handing over my phone, taking it back. But it also showed something I never saw. When I closed the door, the man didn't leave. He stood there for a full 7 minutes, just staring at the door, not moving, not knocking again, not walking away, just staring. Then he turned and walked toward the stairwell, but not before doing something else. He took out a key from his jacket and tried it on my doorknob. It didn't work, but he tried, twice. That was 2 weeks ago. Building security never saw him again. They filed a report, but the footage was too grainy to ID him. No police follow-up, nothing. I've changed the lock since. I've moved the couch in front of my door every night, but I still can't shake the feeling. He'll come back, and next time, he might have the right key. I don't think I'll ever sit in my car the same way again. This happened 2 years ago when I was working night shifts at a bakery in a nearby city. I live in a semi-rural town, about 25 minutes away. My shift ended around 3 a.m., and by the time I'd clean up and leave, the roads would be empty, dark, and dead silent. That night, I was more tired than usual. I remember sitting in the break room, head in my hands, thinking about the long drive home. I didn't even change out of my uniform. Just grabbed my bag, clocked out, and headed to the lot behind the building. My car was parked in the back corner. A dim, flickering street light buzzed above it. I clicked the unlock button and got in. I always throw my bag in the passenger seat, plug in my phone, and start driving without thinking. That night was no different, except for one thing. I remember looking in the rearview mirror before pulling out, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement in the back seat. Just a shadow, a flick. I turned around quickly. Nothing there, just my jacket balled up in the corner. I laughed at myself and drove off. About 5 miles down the highway, I started to get this weird feeling, like my skin was aware of something my brain hadn't caught up to. I kept checking the mirrors, telling myself I was just tired, just paranoid. Then I heard something shift, software leather creaking. I turned the music down, listened, nothing. So I kept driving. It was only when I pulled up to a red light in town, under a proper street lamp, that I happened to glance in the rear view again. This time, I didn't imagine it. There was someone lying down across the back seat floor, behind the passenger side. I couldn't see his whole body, just his boots, scuffed, covered in mud. The kind you'd wear if you'd been walking through woods or hiding in them. I froze. The light turned green. I didn't move. My hands were glued to the wheel. I wanted to scream. I wanted to slam on the brakes and run, but I didn't want to make any sudden movement. He hadn't done anything yet. Maybe he didn't even know I'd seen him. So I did something risky. I pulled into a gas station, bright lights, cameras, people inside. I parked, cut the engine, and bolted into the store, pretending like I was on a phone call. The clerk looked confused. I whispered to him, "Someone's in my back seat." He went pale. Together, we stepped outside, but not too close. From where we stood, we could see my car. Nothing happened for almost a full minute. Then, the back door slowly opened. A man crawled out. He didn't run. He stood up slowly, like he'd just woken up, looked around, and then walked toward the back of the lot and disappeared into the shadows. The police showed up 15 minutes later, took my statement, reviewed the security footage. They never found him. Here's what they did find. Tucked under my passenger seat was a folding knife, already open, and a pair of leather gloves. That's what made me break. He hadn't gotten in by mistake. He hadn't just needed a ride. He'd waited. He'd planned. He'd been watching. And if I hadn't looked into that mirror, if I hadn't stopped, I wouldn't be here to tell you this story. Now, every time I unlock my car, I check the back seat. Twice. And sometimes, I still feel like I'm not alone back there. If you're still listening, you've survived another true horror from the dark side. If this story haunted you, click and like the video, subscribe to this channel for more true nightmares, and leave a comment below. What would you do if someone was already in your car before you even started the engine? I'm Joker, and I'll see you in the next story.